All right, Richard.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming today. And thanks to Nyack Library for sponsoring this event. I don't know if any of you have taken my earlier classes on using the iPhone camera and the app called Snapseed. If you have, that's great. If not, as Rosemary said, you can catch those classes on the Nyack Library website. So we're going to start today. We're going to be looking at several different apps. There's a few more that Rosemary didn't mention that we will get to if we have time. But first, I'm going to do a screen share. I'm going to look at some photos and get a sense of what's possible with using different types of apps with your iPhone camera. So I'm just going to open up a file of photos, and we're just going to browse through these photos. These were all done on the iPhone. There was no Photoshop or computer. We will be looking at some of these apps today too. We will be looking at the app that made this photo too and added the birds. There's an app that you can add birds to your photos. A little bit of Paris. We'll be looking at the app that made the sky look the way it does. This is Rye Beach in Mamaroneck. Probably some of you may recognize that. Playland. This is something we'll be looking into today is collaging. That's actually a self-portrait. We've been looking at the app that's actually Superimpose X. We're going to be looking at that. Same idea. You might recognize Tarrytown Main Street there. Also Tarrytown Main Street. Another self-portrait with the, call it the third eye. A little strange, but we'll recreate this photo from scratch today too, so you can see how it developed. Didn't look like that coming out of the camera, trust me. Sometimes simple things, you know, if the light is nice, simple things can look very strong. Those are actually my own photos of birds. It was a flock of geese, and then I just added them on the photo later. Taking a walk on the playland here. Okay, so I'm going to quit screen sharing now, and we're going to go to a different screen share on my phone. So just give me a minute there. I'm going to go to the iPhone screen share. Wait a minute. That should be showing up. All right. And there we are. Now we're on my, looking at my cell phone screen at the moment. So the first app we're going to look at is called Superimpose X. It's down here where my mouse is. Superimpose X. It's not a free app. I think I haven't, it's been a while since I bought it. I think it's around $5, something like that. Not expensive. Now, before we open photos in any of the apps we're going to look at today, it's a good idea to edit them first. If you took one of my courses on Snapseed, if you didn't, it's a good idea to maybe check that out on the library, on the recorded classes, because all the photos that I use always go through Snapseed first. Snapseed is a free app. You download it from the App Store. It's a wonderful app for editing. So everything gets edited first in Snapseed, so that the photos that we're going to use are pretty much ready to go. We don't have to do initial editing on them. But one of the ones we're going to use today, I'm going to open the Superimpose now. So this is the initial screen. And when you want to access all your photos, you touch this plus down the bottom, and it opens all your photos on your phone, your entire photo library, okay? So that's where you want to start, so you can just choose which picture you're going to use. So the first one we're going to use today is this portrait. So you open the portrait, and down the bottom it offers you different cropping choices. We're going to leave it the way it is. It's a square, but you can change it into different shapes down here. Just by scrolling, you can move with your finger these different options. Generally, I've usually decided already what I want. So when you like the photo, you don't want to crop it, you just touch this little OK up here on the upper right, and now it opens. So this is the editing window in Superimpose. Now, don't get intimidated by all this stuff. It looks a bit complicated. It's not. It just takes some practice, that's all. There's a few basic things, and once you get the hang of them, you'll be ready to go. So what do I want to do with this picture? Well, let's say I want to change the background. I want a different background than that. So how would we do that? Well, we go down the bottom here. This is layers. So over here on the right where the plus sign is, if you touch that, it'll ask you, do you want an empty layer or a photo layer? So you can add either of those, right? And so what we're going to do now, it's called masking. Masking, this is that where my mouse is. We're going to touch on that. And then we're going to go to settings, mask, settings. And it's going to offer me all these different ways to mask. How big a brush do I want? Well, I want to make it a little smaller than that. Do I want brush smoothness? Yes, I want brush smoothness. And what kind of brush do I want? Well, I want a feathered brush. All right. So we touch the mask tool right here, and this menu opens up. So those are all the masking tools. Now the really nice one for this, you'll find this quite amazing, is auto mask. Auto mask. You just simply touch that, and boom, the background's gone. Pretty cool, right? Now, if you don't like what you just did, you can just cancel it right here. You see where my arrow is? If I touch that, the background comes back again. See, so let's go over that again. Mask tool, mask tool, that's the next step. And then auto mask, touch that, boom, background's gone. Okay, so now we want to add another photo. So we go to our plus sign here, we touch that, and we say photo layer. We want a photo layer. And boom, it opens up your entire menu there. So you can choose pretty much any photo you like for the background. I'll just pick one at random there. That's one of my recent fall pictures. And you click on the upper right, and now it shows up on top of the portrait. And you say, wait a minute, it's not the right size. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
You can, yes.
Thank you. I'm trying to find it on my phone. I don't. I go into photos. I'd like to be able to use the phone while I'm looking at you on my MacBook.
Okay, all right. Yes, if you go to the App Store, you have to download Superimpose X.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy to do.
Okay.
All right, so as I said, the photo shows up on top of the portrait, but it's not the right size. So what do? Well, we go down here, transform, touch that. Whatever you touch turns blue. So that's the active tool at the moment. So transform and then fit to canvas. Fit to canvas. So we touch that and boom, it automatically becomes the same size as the portrait. Now up here, now we have two layers. We have the portrait with the background removed, and we have the new photo we want to use for the background. Whatever photo has the blue square around it is the active one. So if we want to get the portrait on top of the background, here's how that works. You simply touch the portrait photo. So it has a blue arrow around it. All right, so now that's the active layer. Put your photo finger on it and slide it up. Okay, just slide it above. All right. Now, if you want to hide this window, you just touch this guy up here, so it goes out of the way, and then you touch it again, and there you go. So now, we don't want that to be so sharp behind her. It's just too busy. It looks too busy. So what do? Well, we make the background active by touching that, and it turns blue. Okay, so the background is blue. Now that's the active layer. And now we're going to make it soft, so it's not so sharp. We go down to filter. We touch that, and it offers us options, like one of them we want to use is called blur. We touch on blur, and it brings up a slider. Now the background can be as blurry as you want, right? By the way, the photo mask was not that great because you can still see some lines around here. So we need to adjust that. But you get the idea with the background. You can make it as blurry as you want. So maybe something like that. Doesn't have to be completely blurred. All right. So that's pretty much it as far as changing the background. It's very useful. You might have a nice shot of somebody, but there's something really, you know, messy in the background, telephone lines and stuff like that, that you'd like to change. And that's a very quick way to do it. So would everyone like to go through that quickly again? Yes, just to confirm it. All right. So bring up a different version of the same portrait. And again, I'm not going to use that background, so we're going to delete that. So there we are again. Let's find a new photo. So we go over here to plus, photo layer, and pick something different. Let's say this time we might use you can also use just plain textures too, like some of these nice simple canvas backgrounds. Doesn't have to be a scene. Now, you remember how we got it to fit? We went to transform, fit to canvas, and boom, it automatically becomes the same size. So now how do we get the portrait on top of that? Touch the portrait till it becomes the blue layer. Put your finger on it and slide it up. Right? So that's kind of a nice classic looking type of portrait. You know, very simple. And again, if we want the background to be less sharp, we go down here to filter. And then we go to blur. Now remember, the active layer is always the one you're touching. So we can just slide that. Now here's I forgot to. You have to make the layer active for it to work. Excuse that. Sorry about that, YouTube. So now we have the background is the active layer. And we're going to go to blur, and we're going to make that a little softer. You don't want to maybe go that far, but maybe just a tiny little, maybe about there, okay? Now this is a better mask job. You can see that the edges are pretty clean on this. It's a nice fit. So now to put them together, you go back and you touch layers. So now they're both locked together, all right? Now there's a very nice tool here. It makes the portrait the active layer by touching it. This light wrap makes the original photo blend with the background, all right? So you can see the color of the portrait is changing to blend a little bit with the background, right? So let's say we like this. So, okay, that's nice. We're going to click OK. Sorry about that. Right up here. Click OK. And now this little box with an arrow in it, that's how we're going to save it back to our camera. Touch that, and it offers you different types of ways to save it. We're going to go with JPEG. And we're going to touch this arrow here, and we're going to save it. Now we go back to our camera, and there we are. That's what we just did. All right. Now, again, if you haven't used Snapseed, we're going to go to Snapseed now. If you haven't used it, that's a very nice app to have on your phone. It's free from the App Store. And it's this, looks like a leaf here, Snapseed. So we're going to go there. And it's open latest image. Because there's a couple of things I'd like to do with this after we've done it in Superimpose. And one of them would be Vignette. If you've done my Snapseed course, you know what that is. If you haven't, it's on the library's website, the recording. So what it's going to do is darken the corners of the photo. So we slide, you see up in the top here, this blue, excuse me, go away. This blue line up here, as I slide my finger across the bottom here, you see what happens with the corners. We don't want too much, just a little bit. Maybe that much. And then you click OK down at the bottom. All right. And then I want to add at the corner, an edge around the photo. So we come down to frames. And there's lots of different, the ones on the right are black frames and the ones on the left are white frames. So we'll add a white frame and you can adjust the size by sliding your finger. So maybe around that size. Okay. And we click OK. And I also like to add a black frame around the white frame because it looks kind of nice. Maybe not that one. That one. Just a nice thin black line. Okay. We click OK down the bottom, down there. Now we're going to export. And we go to save a copy. We don't use any of the others, just save a copy. The reason we do that is if you go to save, it'll cancel your original. So we don't want to do that. So it goes save a copy. And there you go. Go back to your photo. There you go. Now, we mentioned making a work of art. So these are canvas prints, right? You can see these. And I get these from a place called easycanvasprints.com. I'm not in business with them. They're just the ones I use. There's many others, but they do a pretty good job. I got 3 of these, I think, for $45. Makes a very nice gift. So if you want to turn your photos into a print for someone for a gift, you know, they're quite nice. And they're mounted on a very nice wooden frame, so you could hang them on the wall. And then there's this one, which is a portrait. All right, quite a bigger one. So, and you know, this one here would be a nice print to give to someone. You know, looks very sort of artistic. It's not your average photo because we remove the background and we put our own background in there. All right. So let's go back to Superimpose. And this is one of the photos that
I have a question.
Yes.
When you use Snapseed and you want to save it and copy it, what do? The save and copy, or do you do each individually?
No, just save a copy.
Save a copy.
Yeah, but only save a copy, because if you use the others, it will delete the original photo.
Okay, so you save and copy. And that's that's together in one, you know.
That's one step. It brings you back to your camera.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to recreate one of the photos we saw in the opening gallery, which you might remember. It's one of the prints I have also. And we're going to recreate this from scratch. All right. So it's this photo and that photo. This is a window on a church near where I live. So we're going to get rid of the glass in the window and put that tree behind it. Okay. So back to Superimpose. Now remember, to open a new session, you touch the X down the bottom here. All right. So we're going to click on the window. We don't have to change the crop size down here because it's fine the way it is. And there it is. So we're going to get rid of the glass in the window. So how would we do that? Any guesses here? Remember the mask tool? We're going to use the mask tool. So you touch your finger on that. I'm going to hide the layer window so we don't have to keep looking at that. So we see the whole photo. See how we got rid of that? I touched this little pancake stack up at the top here, and it gets rid of the layer window. So you can see the whole photo. All right. So now I want to adjust the settings a bit. I don't want a really big brush size, but I do want it smooth. All right. So now we go over to the mask tool. We touch this. Now, this is one of the tricks for editing. You need to make the picture big. Oops, sorry. You see, if you make mistakes and you touch this little guy down here, and it'll cancel what you just did, or redo it. So we just cancel something. But to make the picture big, you pinch with your 2 fingers. You want to make it very big, right? So you can see what you're doing. It's a very small screen you're working with. Oops. Now that was too strong. So we don't want the settings that strong. Try that again. Sometimes you just have to play around. That's too strong also. That almost got it. Let me try that again. Bear with me. This is how it is. It's always an experiment. You have to play around until it works. That one's better. So I'm just touching each window with my finger. Now they will have to be cleaned up a bit. So we're getting rid of the glass in the window. All right. So we got rid of too much on the top. So we're going to redo it. This is what it is. You have to experiment a bit. It doesn't always go right the first time. Let me see the settings for mask edge threshold. A bit harder. Okay. Now again, we're going to mag the photo up so we can see it much better. In fact, the bigger the better. See, like that. You get a better handle on it this way, just by making it much bigger. Okay, looking pretty good now. I'll blow out the bottom there. So let's have a look at that. Not bad, but I don't like the way the bottom worked out. So one more time, just let's do it again and get it right, okay? It's a thing with patience. You have to be very patient with this because it just takes a while. Okay, that's better. All right. Oops, that. See, the threshold is too strong. That's what it is. All right. There's other ways to mask too, which I use. There's other tools. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Okay, that's better. Still a bit messy, but there's one other tool we can use right here to quickly clean up those. And this just, by the way, I also use this stylus, not just my finger, for touching the photos. It's called a stylus. You can buy them on Amazon. about 15 bucks, worth having. And it's got a smaller tip than your finger, so you can just go in and kind of paint things out, right? So I want to clean up some of these little windows that still have blue inside them. So I'm just painting right over it with the tip of the stylus. All right, just cleaning up where the mask didn't do a great job. All right. Just painting with my pen. See where it's still messy in here. Now these things take a while, you know. It's not a quick. You know, you have to be patient, and sometimes you have to go over several times to get it the way you want. But that's no one said art is easy, right? Everyone wants to touch a button and you have instant art. It doesn't really work like that. You have to work at it. Okay, takes time and patience. So we want it to be nice and clear so that the background shows up. All right. This is looking, it's not perfect, but it's close enough for jazz. All right. So there's our window. Sorry about these messengers. It's hard, I can't stop them. So now we want to add a photo layer. So how do we do that? We touch the plus sign and we touch photo layer. We want this photo to be the background. All right. And we want it to fit the photo. So again, we go down to transform, fit the canvas, and we want to move the window on top of the trees. So we touch the window with our finger, so that has a blue frame around it, and we slide it above. All right. Now we can adjust the size of the trees in the background with transform. We have to select it. We have to select it and make it the blue one. So you see, I'm just pinching with my fingers, and you can move it around the way you want. All right. So let's use that much. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much how you do that. You know, you can erase things fairly quickly and move them either to the front or the back of the picture. So let's say we kind of like that. If we like it, you can go merge down, which means they both now are locked together. You can no longer move the background. Let's go, we want to save that. Go over here to save, and there you go. This is kind of rough. It's a little rough. It's not as good as the original, but there's the rough version. Okay. So, how are we doing for time here? Okay. So let's go to another fun app called Waterlog. I think that was on your course description. And this is a painting app. This is a painting app. All right. And it's right here where it says Waterlog. So we touch that. Let me just open up something here. Okay, so we're going to use some shots I did recently in where are you? You might, if anyone knows Piermont, you might recognize this cafe in Piermont. I went there on one summer's day, and now again, as I said, you need to prepare the photos with Snapseed. So that was the one, same photo. See the difference there? Much richer in color. What I really liked was those chairs. I love the way the chairs make this nice pattern there. Why are you not showing up? Should be showing up there. Oh, there you are. So it's going to automatically paint the photo as soon as you open the photo. So down the bottom here, it has different ways. You just simply touch the next one along. This is a fairly simple app to use. Quite a lot more simple than Superimpose. And as you touch each one, this is called Vibrant. The next one is called Bold. So let's see how that looks. Each one is a little different. And the next one is called Luminous. Let's see how that looks. Very different kind of a look. So there's several different ones. You know, you can try each one to see which one you might like. Right? I think I like maybe that first one. All right.
Which app is this you're using? Which app are you using?
It's called Waterlog.
Waterlog, thank you.
Waterlog, yes. I don't know. I don't think it's free, but it's not expensive. It might be, you know, $4.99 or something like that at the App Store. Now, when you decide which one you like, if you go all the way to the end down here, and you want to save it with the most quality, you go all the way to number. You see, it starts. There's the last of the models. You can have a small file. If you're going to print, if you're going to make a gift of one of these photos, for example, you probably want to use 12, which is the jumbo quality. So we're going to touch on that. Now it will repaint it with much more detail. So when you go to print it on a piece of canvas, it'll look much better. So when you've done that and you like it, right over here, there's that save icon. All the apps have the same icons. You get to know them all pretty well. You touch that and you save the photos. over here, save to photos. All right, back to your camera, and there you go. So that was the photo. That was this is the process we're looking at right here. You start up, this is the way it came out of the camera. This is no editing at all. This is just the picture out of the camera. This is the picture after Snapseed. I mean, you can see the difference. And this is the picture after painting. You see, so the red, like this red awning up here would not have looked like that if we had used that.
Mhm.
You see? So that's why it's important to edit first, to prepare the picture. All right. Now, there's a second painting app, which is very nice too. And it's called Simply Water. Simply Water. So it's quite a different thing. Same idea, but a little different. So we touch on that with our finger, and you get this opening screen. Very simple. It's a simple app. Down here it says Get Photo. All right. So we're going to get photo, and it'll paint it right away. Quite a different look, same idea. Now again, down the bottom here, you have the various styles of painting, right? Very simple. You simply touch. This is the first one here. So let's go to the next one, and you'll see the painting change. Quite a different look. I kind of like that actually. Very different look. These are all watercolor, but they're very different looks. Like that one too. And it adds its own frame around the photo too. You don't have to have that, but now these are probably chosen for because they might be good for people, but you can try them on everything. Kind of like that too. So as I said, you go along, you do all the various things, and that when you get one you like, you can edit it this way. It says, do you want more detail, more contrast, lighten, or color enhance? Let's see what color enhance does. You just slide it along to the right. See, it pops the color quite a bit. And then the next little menu right here. Do we want a tapered edge or not? Do we want a liquid kind of look or not? Nothing, that didn't seem to impress me too much. And then this is the last one. We take a look at that. Now, do we want the outline to be more detailed or less? Well, they look pretty good now. And the outline color, you can change that outline color to black if you want. You'll see what happened there. It just changed the edges of the painting. So when you're finished, you go back to home, touch that, and over here it says save. It's just amazing how these things work. I mean, whoever thought of this stuff is just, you can't imagine the zeros and ones that are going on in the phone. Kaboom. Pretty cool. That would make a nice print, you know, canvas print. So you can do this with any of your photos. If you have a nice, maybe you took some photos during the fall of some pretty trees or something like that. It's a very quick way to get a nice you know, artsy looking picture that's not your average photograph, right? So I like this. I think I like Simply Water a little better because a little more control, like adding detail around the edges and things like that. All right. So any questions on that app? Anything you'd like to know? Any more ideas?
Yes, I have a question, Richard.
Okay.
On this app, when you save, does it save the original?
Yes, it does. Yes.
So you're given the option, or it just does it?
It just so there's the original,
Right,
and there's the actual original.
right, okay.
So it's just adding another version. No, it doesn't cancel your original, which is that's a good question because you don't want to cancel your original. Right. Okay, so everyone good with that? So now you have two choices of painting apps. They're both very nice. And, you know, it's up to you which one you like the best. I think I like Simply Water because it's a few more control options for you, right?
I just looked at the different apps and I noticed there's a Superimpose app, which almost looks like what you did without the X. Is that different? And it's only $1.99 instead of $4.99.
Right, it's the same thing, but has less features.
Okay, so we could try that out first.
Yeah, you could try that first for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
and it does all the basic stuff, but the X adds a little more.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So now we're going to look at a very nice app called Formulas. Up here, Formulas. Formulas, let's open that up so you can see how it looks. All right. It's made by Stackables, it's the original app, Stackables, which I also have on my phone, but this is called Formulas. And you can also look at examples up here. If you touch this screen, it'll open up a window inside of Instagram so you can see examples. But for now, we're going to touch on the window to open it up. And we want to open up a photo. Let's find a photo to open up there. I think I might have one ready. No, not you. I probably have 40 different apps on my phone, so. Okay. I'm looking for a specific photo here. It does very nice. We'll get there in a second. Excuse all the scrolling. Okay, there you go. Okay. So we like this. You click OK. Now the menus go from left over to right. So I'm going to touch this one here and let's see what happens. It makes photos look very old and sort of, you know, from a long time ago. A very nice effect. Each one has a different kind of feel to it. And some of them add kind of a texture over the top. Very simple app to use. It's not nearly as complicated as Superimpose. Just simple choices. I think I like that one better. But again, you can adjust them. You can make them. You can also make the effect less down here. You slide this slider over to the left, and you see the effect is kind of fading. So you can adjust the strength of it. If you like it full strength, that's how it looks. So you can adjust the strength of each one.
So this app is strictly for vintage effects.
Yes. Mhm. Yes, I mean, it's wonderful looking with certain types of portraits also. You've got that lovely old-fashioned look, you know, from the turn of the century photography. I'm not sure if this is a free app. It's been a long time since I downloaded it. And again, when you find one you like, some of them have a very soft kind of effect. You can also bring it back into Snapseed when you finish here, and which is what I did. I think I saved it back here. Yes. So that's one of the ways. After I did the formulas vintage effect, I brought it back into Snapseed and changed it there to look like that. I also cropped it. But it's a very nice effect. Very nice. So everyone good with that? Any questions on that? It's a very simple app to use. It's just up to you what one appeals to you. They're all a little different. Some subjects work better than others. There's
I have a
one.
question. After you use this app, you went back to Snapseed?
Yes, you don't have to, but it's just another way to alter the, you know, you might want to crop it a different way.
So you're using additional edits in the Snapseed?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of, Snapseed's my go-to editing tool for everything. If I just shot a picture with my camera, I always go to Snapseed and do the basic edit.
Right.
Let's do that. Let's do that with one of these so we can see the process.
Hey, Richard, before you start doing that, someone had a question. Tracy had a question about wondering how you put your signature on your photos.
Oh, that's a secret. No, it's a little complicated, but yeah, we'll go through that. Let's not like, let's take this picture into Snapseed. All right, so it'll be there in the camera. There it is. Now I'd like to crop this photo. I don't like all that. There's too much space around the photo. So let's go to edit. This is in the camera. This is not Snapseed. If you did my iPhone camera course, and if you didn't, there's also a recording of that in the library menu too. So I'm going to use the crop tool down here. And I'm going to change the way there's too much space around here. Okay, so something like, see, I just got rid of a lot of that space. Done. And now we go over to Snapseed. Open latest image. All right. Now, the tool I always open with, if you touch tools down here, I always start up here, always. That's the starting menu for all photos, tune image. Now, when you touch the menu down here, it offers you these choices. You can make it brighter or darker, more contrasty, saturate the color, and add ambiance to the photo. So let's start. Do we want it to be darker or lighter? Let's see. Not really. It's not bad the way it is, maybe a tiny bit brighter. Right? How about contrast? Probably could use a bit of contrast. Now watch up in the top as I slide my finger from left to right. You see it kind of, you don't want to go too far because everything gets too dark, but certainly about that much. All right. Now the cool thing about this editing tool is if you touch the picture with your finger and hold it, you see the before. There's before, there's after. So you can see the effect of what you've just done. Very nice. Boom, boom, boom. How about saturation? Let's see what that does. Well, you don't want to change the color too much because Vintage did a nice job turning it into an old photo. So maybe just a little bit like that. And then Ambiance, let's see what that does. It just kind of, you see the way the doors are just opening up there. It just kind of opens up the details a bit. So maybe a little bit of that.
This is all in Snapseed?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is all in one tool in Snapseed. It's not all of them. It's the one called Tune Image. Right? That's all we want to do in this. I'll show it, Marcia. I'll show you. This is where it is. It's up here on the upper left. If that's the only one you use for now, that's fine. You can get the whole course recording at the library. You can see, because there was a special class we did on just Snapseed. Well worth looking at because it's just a fabulous app. You know, there's so many great things here. Now, one way in Snapseed you could add your name to the photo. All right, since we're in Snapseed, you can actually add your name to it. So if we go to Tools, down here it says Text. Text. Open that up. And it says tap twice here to change the text. Tap, tap. Double tap to change the text, and now you get a menu. So let's say I just want to type click OK. Now the cool thing with this is by using your fingers, you can make it any size you want and move it anywhere you want. So let's say you want to just put it down here. That's one way you can do it. It's not the way I do it, but it's a way to do it. Okay. So the other tool I would use here is Sharpening, which is, this is the second tool. Now watch what structure does. Watch, now you can really see it when you mag it up. See, it's just, look how it's bringing out all the little things that the other app did. See these little specks of white and everything? It's kind of nice. And then you make it sharper. Watch the windows here as I make it sharper. You see how much more detail comes out? So you click OK. So that's one of the ways.
Which tool are you using for this part?
For the dust part? Yes, it's one called Details. It's right next to an image.
Okay, thank you.
Very handy tool. Don't use it on a portrait though, because it makes people look very unattractive. You know, a little bit of sharpening, but not the structure. You don't want all of the little blips coming out of their face. Not good. You know, that wouldn't be a popular move. So again, we're going to export this Now, always, we're going to only use save a copy because we don't want to affect the original. We go back to our, okay. Now, there's more that needs to be done here. I'm not crazy about that blank sky. So for the last app today, we're going to look at Distressed FX. Distressed FX. That's one word, just the letters FX at the end. Now, there's two versions. There's Distressed FX, and there's also Distressed FX Plus. I actually have both of them. Distressed FX Plus, I think, was like $9 or $10, and the other one's probably $5. Either one is fine. They both have birds too. So here's what they look like. The upper right here, Distressed FX, Distressed FX Plus. So we're going to open the Plus version. And again, to get a photo in, you simply touch the camera up here, and it opens up all your pictures. Where did my photo go from the, we just saved that. That should be there. Did I not? Oh, there it is. No, that's a different version. Why did it not show me the current one? That's weird. Well, we can't find it. We'll open up another photo here. That's unusual. Usually you can find the photo straight from your camera, but it's a different version. Odd. Very odd. Just bear with me for a moment here. That's odd. Try one more time if we don't get it. Okay, it's not going to cooperate with me today. So we're going to use a different photo. Find, these are some of the ones that we looked at in the gallery. So we'll open up, let's say we open up this one. All right. So we're going to, again, it offers you the opportunity to crop it. You just grab each corner and make it bigger or smaller. We like it the way it is, so we go done. So now there's two options here. You can add textures down the bottom or colors on the top. So let's start with textures. So I'm just simply going to touch each one. Now watch what happens on the photo. See, then to turn that off, you go none. So there's none, and there's the texture. And that's very nice. Look at the way the sky went. This adds a lovely painterly effect to your photos. Let's go to the next one. So each one is a little different. There's none. This one added a kind of a greenish cast. So you just go from left to right and add each one. That's kind of interesting. Some are stronger than others. They all have a kind of a painterly look. So you find one that you like. That's a bit too much. It looks like very rough. I think I like the ones at the beginning. I think I like that one the best. Right. So let's say you like that. If you want to adjust it, make it darker or lighter, you go over here to the menu, and it offers different, you can make it go away completely, have it halfway, or full. You can have it darker or lighter. Maybe a little darker, maybe. You don't want to go like that. Something like that. Click OK. Now let's add some birds. So how do you add birds? Right here. Hello, birds. So we have all these choices of birds. Let's go with these 3 birds down here on the bottom. And there they are. Now you can move them anywhere you want, right? And you can change the size of them by squeezing. And you can change the lightness of them if you don't want them to be, in this case, you don't want them to be full strength because they're a little too black. Maybe just kind of faded like that. Now, where do we want them? Do we want them here? No, we probably want them over here somewhere. Click OK. And then when you're ready to go, now there's another thing you can use here too. This little water drop, when you touch that, it makes the whole picture blurry. And you can choose where you want it sharp. Like if I want the trees sharp, but everything else blurry, cancel that. Maybe I want that sharp, but all the rest of it kind of fuzzy. But maybe I don't. Maybe I want to look at it. That's full blurry. That's way too much. That's about half blurry, and that's even less blurry. So let's go with that. Click OK. Done with that. You go up here. Save. OK. Back to your camera. Right. Now I might open that in the Snapseed and add a frame to it just to finish it off. I like number 7. Kind of funky. Export. Well, actually, we might want to darken it a bit. It's a little bit light. We'll go up to 2 in image and make it a little bit darker. And maybe increase the saturation too. See what's happening with that grass. Export. Save a copy. Back to your camera. Kaboom. So that's Distressed FX. Now, someone said, how do I add my name to the picture? well, it's a little complicated, but it's called Image Blender. You go down here and you go Photos. And it opens the photo, and then you go Files, where I save my signature. Now I did these signatures in Photoshop. I just signed it, you know, using the stylus in Photoshop. So it shows up like that. And then you simply move it to where you want and squeeze it till you get it the size you want. Right? You go Save. Now you have to make it show up. So they offer you blending modes, and I always use the same one. Color dodge. Save. Back to camera. There it is. So it's called Image Blender. It's a little complicated, but again, you can use the text tool in Snapseed. Also, you know, we just looked at one font. There's like dozens of different fonts you can try in the text tool in Snapseed. So we're pretty much near the end here. So any questions about what we did today? We looked at Superimpose X, Snapseed. We didn't get to Photoshop Fix. We did get to vintage and formulas and distressed effects. You know, it takes a little time. You know, you can't sort of, it's not a quick push button situation. You have to kind of, you know, try things out, see what works and doesn't work, what looks best. And the watercolor apps, they're probably the easiest to use. I think I prefer Simply Water because it has a few more controls that the others don't. So any questions from anybody? Anything you'd like to know about any of these or other apps? There's a few other apps we didn't look at today. Not too many. There's one called Brush Stroke that I like. That's another painting app. Brush Stroke.
Which Photoshop app were you referring to?
Photoshop Fix up here.
Photoshop 6?
Fix, F-I-X. Photoshop
Oh.
Fix, as in broken, fix. Yeah, it's a very useful tool because it has some tools that Snapseed doesn't have, like the clone tool is a really major one.
Is that a free app, the Photoshop app?
I don't think it is. I'm not sure about their current policy because Adobe changes all the time.
I think it might be.
It might be. I think it might be free. You'll find out in the App Store. Yeah. And I think I actually do have an app, an actual Photoshop app here called Photoshop Express. But you know, I hardly ever use it. Hardly.
I have that one too. I hardly ever use it.
Yeah, yeah. So there's other ones I like. iColorama. It's quite complicated. That could be a whole session just in itself. It's actually very nice for all sorts of things, but it took me a long time to get a handle on it. But once I did, I thought, wow, this is an amazing app.
What about, do you use Vsco a lot?
Which one?
Vsco.
Vsco.
I think there's an annual membership for that. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, which I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't like paying. It's very nice. It's very nice for changing the colors of your photos. But again, I don't think I want to renew it.
Yeah, mine renewed recently and I didn't even realize it. I forgot.
Right, right. There's another app here called Vintage Scene. It does pretty much the same sort of thing as Formulas, but I think Formulas is better. Vintage Scene does the same sort of thing. And then Stackables is nice too. I use that quite a bit. That's for enhancing color also. But the ones we use today are, you know, you can do so much with Superimpose and distressed effects, you know, to enhance and make your photos more artistic. Got to be careful with distressed effects though with people's faces, because it does some strange stuff, you know. But so I think we're just about done. Let me just get out of screen share here. So
When will this be available on library app, library YouTube?
Basically, I have to, download it onto my computer and just check to make sure everything looks okay, and then I upload it onto YouTube. So probably at the latest, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. But I'm going to try to do
Wow.
it. It doesn't take that long.
Will you let us know about it?
Yeah, sure. I can send out
That's
an email.
great. Will you let us know?
What I'll do is I'll
Wonderful.
send an email out to everybody who signed up with the link directly to it.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Rich